Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Not quite in the woods, but close enough. This was the only truly unnerving, paranoia-inducing thing that's really happened to me. But I grew up in a ranch house on the distant outskirts of a Boston suburb. The city was about 2.5 hours from where I lived. We had no neighbors, and the only way into and out of the area were dirt roads. You get the idea. A creepy, super dark area, a good distance away from traffic. I was about 12 at this point, and I had a pretty nice Yamaha dirt bike I'd ride to and from my friend's house about 2 miles down the road. Their house was the only one within that distance, and we were the only kids in the area. We were both homeschooled, and since we had no one else to hang with, it was what it was. So one night I'm riding my bike home, just cruising. My front wheel dug into a rut, or I hit a sand patch or something, sending me flying and the bike crashing to the ground. It was really late and the headlight on my bike was out. I had taped a flashlight to the handlebar, so at least I had something. I get up and assess the damage. Bent the tire. Parent will kill.png. The flashlight flew off somewhere off the road, and anyone who's been in a dark woodsy area of Mass knows what level of ungodly bullshit the scrub is on. After a few unsuccessful minutes of looking for the flashlight, I decided to say screw it and walk the last mile back home. It was a fairly straight shot, and I'd just come back in the morning with my dad's pickup to get the bike. I start walking. And even though I had lived in those woods my entire life, paranoia starts to set in. I was young and alone, and the woods were completely silent. We lived near October Mountain State Forest. The road looked like this, but more twisty. No sound whatsoever, like completely dead silent. Something is wrong. I walk further, and just as I start to really freak out and acknowledge the gut feeling to run, I suddenly feel incredibly queasy. In fact, I'm so dizzy and faint that I fall to a knee, and my breaths begin to feel a tad labored. Oh great, I'm really concussed. Dad is literally going to skin me alive. I take a seat on the road. I walk just far enough that the shrubbery and uneven terrain blocks the bike from sight. Instead of feeling better as I sit, I feel weaker and weaker. I end up laying back on the dirt, struggling to breathe at this point. I didn't know if it was a panic attack or if I had somehow broken something without realizing it. Either way, I was so weak I couldn't lift my head off the dirt, and my limbs felt like lead. At this point, I had decided this was not normal, and I might actually be in trouble. I began to feel sleepy and remembered that concussion plus passing out equals big problems. I lay there for a good 20 minutes taking pained, dragging breaths and trying to get off the ground. A few times I got to a knee before falling down. After maybe the 5th or 6th attempt at standing, I give in and lay face down on the cold dirt. It was late October at this point, which is ironic since October Mountain, and the ground was rock hard and freezing. I start seriously panicking and thinking I was going to fall asleep and die here overnight before anyone found me. In the middle of me pondering my mortality, I hear a low growl coming from the side of the road, no more than 5 feet from where I was laying. I gasp and start crying or laughing, completely hysterical. I couldn't move a single muscle, and now some kind of dog was going to make me its dinner. I felt completely paralyzed. I couldn't even wiggle my toes or fingers, like everything was frozen. The growling gets angrier, peaking loud enough to be a dull roar. then cutting off. Another growl starts up on the other side of me, and then the initial one too. I'm still laying frozen and helpless in between the two growls when something grabs me by the ankle. It felt like a gloved hand, wrapped tightly around my leg. It drags me 1 foot in a violent, jerking motion. I start sobbing silently, unable to wipe the tears away. That one jerk was all there was, and suddenly more and more growling sounds. From the left, right, up, down. It was total sensory overload, and with each second dozens of growls joined the chorus. I heard and felt an enormous crack, like the sound traveled through me and shook every particle of my being. That same second, the growling all cut off at once. From each and every direction, in one instant, the sound of 100 packs of coyotes cut off. Instantly and inexplicably, I was slapped into motion. I jumped to my feet and booked it straight down the road towards home. I cried as I ran, the tears streaking behind me. I sprinted up to the storm door and slammed it shut behind me. I locked it and ran straight to my room. My parents were asleep, and what would waking them up do? I ran to my room and huddled for the rest of the night, shaking and sobbing and snotting everywhere. My ankle throbbed from where the hand latched on, the skin already turning purple-black. At dawn, I woke my parents and told my dad what had happened. He was furious about the bike, but absolutely horrified at the purple hand mark on my leg. Later that night, he went out with his 12-gauge and wandered the road for what must have been hours. He was a former Army Ranger, and he was sure if someone had been messing with me on the dirt road, he'd have seen some sign of struggle. He found nothing, no sign or marking anywhere of any kind of person or animal. I was the only witness, and I feel that I'm the only one who took the story seriously, which bugs me to this day. But I haven't forgotten it. I really think some breed of paranormal fuckery was at work that night. It was almost 20 years ago now, but it's an event that will stay with me to the grave. It's the sole reason I lurk here, and I have no explanation for any of it. I live in Boston now, and sometimes I think about going to the campground near where the house was. I'm an adult now, and I'm genuinely curious as to what might be in that park. The road looked strikingly similar to this one, PIC-related.
How about an actual story? Commando here, so I really don't know the unspoken shit. Go easy, please. Live in New Mexico, which means skinwalkers. A few buddies and I go into the woods to shoot our guns and generally hang around. Nothing good ever happens past this point in most stories. Time to go to sleep. We douse our fire and shit. Everyone goes into our tents. Then in the middle of the night, help me! It had the inflection that an air raid siren would, sort of a heep. Me. We have all heard the stories, not falling for this shit. Decide that now would be a good time to start a fire and maybe shoot some more to scare the thing. Grab my cheap shit night vision. Hey, over by that big tree with the hole in it, you see it? No man, I can't see shit, too dark. The smell has not come yet, it was too far. But suddenly, the smell comes loud and clear. It's close, too close. Grab our shit, hightail it out of there while praying. Make it about a mile before stopping since someone dropped his rifle. Stay up all night, performing guard shifts. Make it back to our trucks in the morning. Leave and never come back. Someone was eaten by a bear around that area about a week later. Lost about $300 to $400 in camping gear personally. But I know my friends lost more as well. The desert's terrifying.
Young'un. Camping with a big group of extended family and friends, maybe 50 people in all. Like for real camping, in the mountains, None of that RV shit. While looking for legal firewood, LOL California, some of the guys found a neat abandoned mine with a real creepy vibe. We decide we're gonna go check it out after dark. On the road in, ancient rusted machinery and some kind of 1930s era car all rusted to shit with no wheels and no interior, and about 8 million bullet holes, some of them fairly fresh. The mine itself is a huge iron door in the side of the mountain with a pair of steel tracks coming out from under it that abruptly end. The latch on the door has a huge, shiny and new padlock. The door is riddled with bullet holes, some of them fresh. Some of them are coming out from the inside, also fresh. A few of the kids climb up the hill alongside the door. There's a partial collapse, leaving a big crack into the interior of the mine. I shine my flashlight down in there. Weird. There's a huge wooden table sitting in the middle of the cart rails with 2 wooden chairs. My flashlight goes out. All the flashlights that were brought up there go out. Are you serious? This is some bad fiction bullshit. Climb back down. Flashlights come back on. The legend of the door is born. Go back to camp. Adults get drunk as usual. Ghost stories, speculation on the door, bedtime. Next day, decide to go back to the door in daylight. We all troop out there. Someone notices the big shiny lock on the door is a different type. Decide to climb back up again. Some other kids want to see the table and chairs. Brought flashlights to shine inside. Can't see shit. Flashlights go out. Are you fucking serious? I still can't see shit. Climb back down. Flashlights work again. Most of the adults completely blow it off, as the kids trying to make shit spooky on purpose. Hang around for a bit, dick around with the ancient car. Suddenly a noise, less heard than felt, and incredibly deep, but not very loud. Whoomp. I'm right next to the door. I very clearly saw it flex outward a bit, and the lock bounced up and clink back. I'm not the only one. Someone says the mine is probably actively collapsing, and that it was a cave-in deep inside. It's why they put that door on it with the lock. Makes sense. Everyone was staring at the door, so everyone sees as it flexes again, slowly. The shank of the lock gets pulled tight against the clasp. Kids get yelled at to get away. The entrance is probably about to collapse. Nobody believes it's about to collapse. But we're not sticking around to see what's about to happen. Pile into cars and leave. Super spooked. No speculation about the door that night. Just singing and random bullshit. Next day, not quite so spooked. The mine collapsing does logically account for everything, and we know it's already partially caved in right behind the entrance. Lots of talk about the demonic doorway to hell, all tongue-in-cheek. Decide we're gonna go back and see if it completely collapsed. After dark again. Get back to the door. It has a third different new, big and shiny lock. There are new bullet holes in the door. Some of the new ones are coming out from the inside. I'm climbing up to see if it's caved in anymore. Get yelled at that it's dangerous, but fuck you, Dad. I do what I want. A couple of cousins are going up with me, and their parents are oblivious. Looks the same. No new cave-in. Shine my flashlight down inside. The table and chairs. The chairs are in different positions. Creepy. Flashlights go out. Is this real life? What the fuck? One cousin says the other cousin's name, all squeaky and breathless. Points into the crack. I squint. Red glowing dots. In pairs. Dozens of them, bobbing up and down, getting closer. Some are already closer than the table and chairs were. Nope, 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 out of there. begging parents to leave. Most adults are dismissive or sarcastic. Stupid kids making shit up to be special. Huge wham thud against the door. From the inside. Silence. Everybody gets in the cars and leaves with very little said. Back at camp. No singing, no stories. Plenty of drinking. At least 15 people stay up until dawn. Nobody talked about it. They just did it. It's the last day. One group decides they're going back there to see what it looks like early in the morning. They meet a park ranger coming down the road from the door. He immediately gives them the standard shit about what is and is not okay to use for firewood, also warns them about the dangerous mining equipment on this road. They ask about the door, and he immediately goes on a rant about assholes breaking into the old mine to do God knows what, and shooting up everything in sight. Turns out he's had to put a new lock on the door every morning for the past couple weeks, since he first happened to come down that road and notice it missing. Warns them again not to mess with the mining equipment. It's old and dangerous as hell. They check out the door. Looks the same, new, different lock. End of trip, but it's a yearly tradition. Same place every year. The following year. The door is a bona fide legend. Lots of exaggerated stories, jokes, fabricated background for the people that happened to not be there last year. Definitely going back out there, after dark, of course. I got 1,000,000 candle power flashlights so I can get a good look through that crack, assuming it works. First night, we all load up and head out there. There's the old mining equipment. There's the shot-up old car. But there's no door. Where it should have been is just unmarked hillside. Not like it was buried. There's solid rock and trees and shit. Lots of confusion, another trip in daylight searching the area. No door. Eventually tracked down a ranger. Mine? What mine? Oh, you mean all that old equipment? That's sluice gear for hydraulic mining. They take a super high-pressure hose and blast the mountainside away, sluicing the mud for gold dust. No conventional mine shafts that I've ever heard of. Definitely not on that road, at least. By the way, you can't cut standing trees for firewood and blah blah blah, manzanita blah blah blah. $10 million fine. So, what the fuck was it?
Be me, 19 years old, home alone because my family won't come home until late at night. Nighttime, tweeting on my phone. Fall asleep and wake up to a loud knocking on the door. Get up, must be my family. Walk to the entrance and glance at the window next to the door. A white face staring at me. Nope. Went back to my room and turned off the light. Curl up in a ball under the covers. Keep hearing the damn knocking. Don't sleep for the rest of the night. My family comes home at 6 a.m. Tell them everything. Since I'm Mexican, we had a priest de-Evilize the entrance. 2 kids went missing the following week, and I'm still having nightmares.
Not scary, but at the time, I was very scared. Be me, 17 years old, exchange student in Wisconsin. Summer, no class, developed a taste for biking. One day I decided to go to the north to a town 10.5 miles away from my town. Prepare supplies, apples and water. Go, all the way listening to music on my iPod. Wow, I actually made it. Hang out at the town, saw the sights there. Shit, it's getting late. Start going back home. It's getting dark. My face when the sun is almost down and there is a whole lot of ground to cover. iPod dies. Cell phone dies. Biking alone in the dark in the middle of rural Wisconsin. Only light is that of stars and the bike's flashlight. see the glowing eyes of night animals at the roadsides. My mind is starting to think of many things, from bears to being killed by psycho inbred hillbillies. Biking like crazy, hit a bump and fall down, thrown away from the bicycle, minor cuts on forearms and knees. The light of the fallen bike is right at my face. I stay paralyzed. For some reason I thought I was going to die then and there. Finally got up, got the bike back up. Then I see a huge old guy staring at me with his shotgun and a teenage girl by his side. Scared the shit out of me. I put my hands up. I really thought they were psycho rednecks. Turns out they were actually very nice people. We ended up talking and they gave me food and then took me home in their truck. The girl was his daughter, a cute blonde as only Wisconsin can make them. I miss Wisconsin, miss the good old USA.
B18 just started college. Nana, maternal grandmother, and her third husband bought a farm in North Carolina. It has woods on 3 sides and a swamp on the 4th side, which opens up to a large lake. Their place has no neighbors around it. At one time, most of it was a tobacco farm and woodlot. A small stream runs through it, separating where their house is from another field and then more woods. They say the lake was dug out by slaves during the Civil War. Then a small river was dammed up, making the lake. The house is sort of modern, but the feng shui is all wrong, her old man says. He knows about such things. Says it's situated wrong. He's right. Something just doesn't feel right. They say a man who was related to a well-known musician built it maybe 30 years ago. It was then in the middle of nowhere, and still is, to a degree. After he died, they say it was owned by Arabs for a while. They put in all kinds of surveillance cameras and lights, supposedly just used it on weekends. No one really knew them. Eventually they left. Some redneck types owned it next. They kept it for a couple of years, then lost it to bankruptcy, and also they said the husband went crazy. The place was vacant for a while. Locals would hunt on the property, and basically acted like they owned it. Then Nana and Jim bought it and moved in. There were a few things wrong at first. Strange odors, people coming on the land but not saying hello or anything. Then the police started coming, looking for the guy who had gone crazy. He owed people a lot of money. At one point, he had set up some phony companies. That was all the police would tell us. Eventually, the police realized that the guy was gone, out of state, and that new people now had the house. After that, things were quiet for a while. They moved in and were starting to enjoy the house. Wrong feng shui to the contrary. They're both nature lovers, and there were a lot of birds and signs of other animals in the woods. One of the first things they had to do, however, was to buy a new refrigerator. The rednecks who owned the place before had caught a large fish out of the lake and left it in the refrigerator. But the power had been cut off. The fish rotted and stank up the whole house. Nana figured that's how they were able to get a better deal on the property. The people were in bad shape financially, and also the house stank. So they repainted the kitchen and brought in a new refrigerator. But then the horrible smell came back. It seemed to be emanating from near the front door. They checked the AC ducts and any possible place where something might have died. Nothing. The smell would go away for a week or two, and then come back. Jim said that according to something he had read a long time ago, a bad smell like that was associated with evil spirits. They joked about that, and about burning some sweet grass, or rolling a coconut through the house, calling a priest, and all kinds of similar things, jokingly, of course. Over time, the smell vanished, but still came back at odd times, although with less frequency as time went on. In the meantime, people would occasionally cut across the property, once or twice on an ATV, other times in an old beat-up station wagon. Most of the locals were pretty friendly, but these people didn't make eye contact, even when we were standing out in the yard. What the fuck? Then one day we were all outside. I was walking along the edge of the property with my brother-in-law and his dog. Someone fired a shotgun blast out of the woods right next to us. It was so loud. They couldn't have been more than 30 feet or so back in the brush. It sounded like a cannon, and I remember thinking they must have fired both barrels at once. Scared the hell out of the dog. We shouted, "Hey, what the hell? Don't you realize there's people out here?" Whoever it was retreated silently back into the woods. The whole thing was really unsettling. Who the hell would do something like that? We were in an open field. They couldn't have been more than 30 feet back in the woods, judging by the sound of the shot. Whoever fired the shot must have known we were out there, but they fired anyway, and then ran off back into the woods. I'm thinking maybe some of the locals are pissed off, because now there are people living in what was before their hidden hunting grounds. So maybe they're trying to send us a message, like to sell out and leave the place so they can hunt and fish there? But so far, Nana and Jim hadn't even put up a posted sign. And they're kind of good old boy types themselves, I always thought. If somebody came to the house and asked permission to hunt, they probably would have said sure. Jim had a vintage 12 gauge himself he'd get out once a year or so and shoot, just to make sure it still worked. When we got back to the house, Nana had started her afternoon cocktail hour and came up with the idea that Jim and I should go back up there with the shotgun and have a talk with whoever it was. She kept on about how we needed to go up there, find out who it was, and give them a piece of our mind. She wanted us to go up through the woods with guns. Of course with guns. And see what they're doing up there. This really didn't sound like a good idea. Whoever is up there is either crazy, drunk, or just plain mean. The last time I checked, this was still 21st century America, not the Wild West in the woods, or not. Nana is usually the level-headed one. Must be the booze talking, but it was starting to get annoying. But sure, we all felt sort of threatened at this point. No one noticed that Jim had slipped out of the room. He came back about an hour later. He had crossed the little creek and skirted some fields and entered the woods at an oblique angle. Quietly moving through the woods, he came to where he could look down on a cleared area at the base of a hill. There was a battered station wagon there, and the driver looked like he was passed out in the driver's seat. Farther on, there was another cleared area with another battered old car with beer cans scattered around it on the ground. No one in sight. At this point, Jim retraced his steps back to the house. Those woods are full of drunks with shotguns.
Somewhere between wow it's fucking nothing.jpg and wow it's fucking something.jpg, depending on whether you need a supernatural element to interpret into a story for it to count or not. Go visit Dad in his country home in the woods often. Enjoy walking the rocky and forested northwestern Ontario area with people and without, very familiar with the terrain. Sometimes hear coyotes howl outside the house at night during certain seasons because Dad and his partner have a dog. And apparently coyotes do that to exploit dogs' stupid friendliness to lure them out and kill them in the dark. But bears and other scary animals avoid the area because of dog smell. House sit for them for a week while they vacation with their dog. Nice private retreat week. Always try to walk every day due to it actually helping depression. Realize in the middle of the night while watching movies in the living room, best part of being in a house alone is that no one judges you for cooking food, sleeping, reading, or doing anything you want at abnormal hours. That I didn't walk. Remember that I can do whatever I want without disturbing anyone at any time of day because I'm alone in a house. Just go out walking. Got my phone and a regular old flashlight because I am stoked to walk the spooky, totally dark woods, even though I'm literally just walking a loop within sight of the house. Get all fuck this light business, I can see just fine in the dark. Within moments, like a smug dude who thinks he's a perfect hiker might. About 2/3 of the way through the short route, hear lots of breaking sticks and rustling of fallen leaves and freeze. As it gets closer, it sounds like a big commotion, like multiple things are moving about, and I think it's gotta be a gang of clumsy-ass thieves out to ransack the house and kill anything inside. Hide behind a sheer side of a big rocky mound, like the Canadian Shield area is basically made of. They crash into the space like 10 feet away. I hear the coyotes yip and snarl and shit for the first time super loud. Fucking hell.jpg. A second later, as I start to bolt toward the house, one of them jumps out to the side, but it's facing the other way. Another farther away does the same and sees me, and it just freezes like I've startled it by being there. Checking over my shoulder, I realize whatever they're doing has literally nothing to do with me. Just in time to see a huge fucking moose crash out of the woods and crush Coyote 2 to death with its giant antlers. A bunch of pack hunters getting chased down by a crazed moose for some reason. Moose are shockingly enormous, by the way. We think of them as just some deer variant until you see one and realize they are the damn elephants of Canada. Coyote 1 tries to bite it in the shin to distract it from its friend who is already fucked. The moose kicks it off and turns to run this one down too. I see 3 run off, past the house. The moose just completely pulps one into the dirt even more violently, and then thunders off after 3, and I can feel the huge weight of the thing vibrating the ground while it runs. I hear the sound of a small dead tree cracking. I get inside, watch out the windows for the next hours, but the outside lights aren't pointed into the woods. Morning comes and I go out. Yep, it knocked over a tree on the property. 1 regular dead coyote, 1 messily dead coyote by the trees. I go in the direction of the tree, nothing over there, so 3 probably got away. I go back to the rocky mound, find the flashlight I forgot entirely about, LOL, and walk a short distance. There was a coyote 4 that died before I even saw them, apparently. This one's a mess too. While I'm thinking what to do about the carcasses, I see the moose just standing there in the distance, chewing on a spruce, its antlers tipped red. It gives me this what look, and I go back inside scared. Fucking moose.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.